Alrighty, welcome everyone. I'm Teeaboo and I am here for more Retro Monday OVAdrive. It's not treasure hunting, I tricked you. Ha ha ha. I didn't trick anyone. You can see the title. Duh. So last week, actually it was 2 weeks ago because I kind of screwed up my schedule because of treasure hunting, but 2 weeks ago we watched the first episode of Genocyber. Still no confirmation which one's correct. I assume it's Geno, but whatever. But we watched the first episode of Genocyber, and it was nicely gory and weird and strange. But I made the executive decision about 2 hours ago when I woke up that no, I don't really want to watch more of that. I will be just as well served by looking at any of the clips on Sakagaburu, and some people have shared some with me, and they're pretty darn cool. Notably, there are some really cool shots with shots being fired and bullet holes and blood and bones exploding and stuff, and it's neat. It's good animation and it's nice and gory. Is it worth sitting through more of Genocyber? No, it's not. So I decided to go on the lookout for something else, and now that my internet's problems seem to have been somewhat resolved, it's actually, I can download things at reasonable speed, which is kind of nice. So, I figured I had the world was my oyster, at least as far as certain OVAs from a certain time period that aren't too long and I actually want to watch are concerned. So I browsed around and puttered around Mal for a while using the advanced search function just to sort down through any shows with ratings in a certain range. In this case, it was above 8, or above 7, I think, that were started and or ended somewhere between 1979 and 2001, which is about the window that I'm looking for. And of those shows, the first thing that caught my attention was immediately the 7-episode Patlabor, I don't know how you say that. It'll be like Genocyber all over, although I assume that it's something that will be said in the series, because it seems to be like a title thing for an organization. But yeah, that 7-episode OVA definitely caught my attention, so I clicked on it and realized, I think for the second or third time, having forgotten it, that it was directed by Mamoru Oshii. So I was like, well shit, I haven't seen that much of Oshii's work. I think pretty much the only things I can say that I really know and remember of him are Gits, Ghost in the Shell, and that was 6 years after Patlabor. Also focusing on a semi-real robot sort of situation with a somewhat futuristic-y, fiction-y thing going on, and being a really fantastic animated film. I mean, still one of the best animated films, easily. It's real hard to count out the original Ghost in the Shell and Oshii's masterwork on it. So, with that in mind, I decided, hey, yeah, let's try this Patlabor thing. But we had a little problem, a little roadblock in our way, which was, it's a franchise, and there are lots of entries in it, and I have no idea where to start. So, a couple of somewhat risky Google searches, spoiler-wise, later, I found that people recommend you either do the TV continuity or the movie continuity, and the TV continuity contains the TV show, which is fucking long, so I decided not to do that, and that we would instead watch some of the movie continuity, and if we like it, maybe all of the movie continuity. From what I can tell, that consists of this OVA, which is 7 episodes of 30 minutes each, and then there are 3 movies, and people have said that the third movie kind of sucks, so maybe skip it. Cool. Sounds good to me. We're in for some real robots action of some kind, real police robots of some kind. Other than that, I don't really know that much about Patlabor. Now, when I was going through the staff list, as I often do, I couldn't help but notice that a whole lot of the people on staff ended up, somehow, by some strange coincidence, also working with Oshii on Ghost in the Shell. And that just makes me a little bit suspicious. It makes me think that maybe, just maybe, this could be seen as, I don't know, in the same way that Gunbuster can be seen as a starting point for a lot of the ideas that were later brought to fruition and flowered or bloomed in Evangelion, I kind of have a feeling that there are some ideas in Patlabor that ended up blooming in the film of Ghost in the Shell. Although Ghost in the Shell is an adaptation of a Masamune Shirow work, and who knows, man. But, It's interesting. It's an interesting note, and it'll be interesting to see how they differ, given that Ghosts in the Shell was a movie budget thing that was an absolute global phenomenon when it aired, and came out in 1995, as opposed to the 1988 to 89 runtime of this Patlabor OVA, although the future seasons go on quite a bit further. I think Ghost in the Shell definitely had more sticking power with Standalone Complex and the second raid, or second gig. Second raid is Full Metal Panic. Um, but that places Patlabor in an interesting time frame, and one that we've actually sort of been hanging out in for a little while. It's almost an identical time frame to the airing days of Bubblegum Crisis, which I think is interesting since we watched that just a couple months ago, as well as being almost an identical time frame in terms of airing to, or in terms of release dates, to Gunbuster, as well as Akira, which came out one of the years that Patlabor was airing. So there's all this stuff going on in the industry at the time when this is being aired, and I'm curious how Patlabor fits as a puzzle piece into a picture of like a snapshot of what the anime industry was producing and what was being enjoyed and what was being sold and actually working during the turn of the decade between like 88 and 92, which I think was a pretty crucial time here, given the explosion of stuff like Akira in the West, and then sort of paving the way for the later explosion of things like Ghost in the Shell. So I find that kind of fascinating, and I'm real interested to get into this, because there are not that many Oshii works that I've actually seen, and despite loving Ghost in the Shell, I'm not that familiar with him as a director. I know that he's praised out the wazoo by pretty much everybody who's solidly familiar with any of his work, so it seems like a damn shame that I haven't watched more of his stuff. Maybe we'll watch Tenshi no Tamago in a few weeks or something, I don't know. But for now, we'll focus on Patlabor and real robots and policey character people. Okay. One of the major staff members that definitely stood out, and one of the first things that I usually like to look at, was the scriptwriter. And the scriptwriter in this case is Kazunori Ito. And you might recognize that name because he is one of those people who continued to work with Oshii on other projects, including Ghost in the Shell, and Urusei Yatsura, and Dirty Pair. Like, Kazunori Ito has written some shit, and the things that he has written on that have been the most successful are when he was tag teaming with Mamoru Oshii. Whether that's just a credit to Oshii's ability as a director and his ability to turn pretty much any script into something really cool, or that's credit to their interactions and their ability to work together, I don't know, but I would probably just speculate, like, and lean toward the latter, that it's probably their pairing is a magic thing. The other person that really stood out to me, besides one of the first build people on the list, who is only an episode director and only for episode 7, and that is, of course, Itano himself. He's on there, but whatever, he's an episode director for episode 7. We'll see if we see any missile swarms, I don't know. But the other person that stood out to me was the art director, Hiromasa Ogura, who also was the art director on Dead Leaves and Furikuri, of all things, which is kind of fucking crazy. If you've seen either Dead Leaves or Furikuri, whoo, yikes. So this guy's got some range, because he also did some of the background art, although there are many credits for background art on this film, some of the background art on Spirited Away. Okay, cool. As well as, of course, going on to work with Oshii on Ghost in the Shell, and also doing some work on Last Exile, which I thought had pretty great background art in general, and just art direction was solid, minus the pretty jank early CG stuff going on in some of it, which was fair, to be fair, pretty jank. A lot of the aesthetic of the show was good. Okay, that's my big list of peeps and homies that have worked on this show. That's about all I've got going in, is looking at the staff list. I looked through some of the voice actors and didn't catch anybody that was like ultra notable as like, oh fuck, it's this person, I'm gonna definitely notice their voice. Nobody like that. Definitely a couple of people who had Ginga Densetsu roles, but more minor roles than major ones. No Reinhards, nothing like that. So we got a show, or a series of OVAs, It is Real Robots. It is heralded as one of the big Real Robot shows, from what I know. I've seen some images. I know who's directing it. I know who's scripting it. That's all I know. Oh, we're gonna have to watch it. So, in order to watch it, I have gone and sought out a release that will suit my fancy. When I looked through all the releases on Ya, one of them definitely stood out for me, and that was the Bonkai 77, Bonkai 77 rip. And the reason for that is because I used Bonkai 77's rips for Evangelion, and I found them excellent. They were filtered, so a lot of the graininess and sort of decay of footage was just not there, and I thought the filtering job that he did was excellent. It's also a plus that Bankai's rips are usually H.265 Havoc, so they're relatively small, and he includes dual audio and lots of subtitle options and all kinds of good stuff. So it seemed like a no-brainer to me to go for the filtered version with cleaner color and stuff. If it looks a little bit brighter or a little bit oversaturated, then we'll keep that in mind, because that may change the like impact of certain aesthetic decisions that the show makes. Like darkness and graininess can be intentional, but I think that for my preferences, I would prefer to watch a spruced up version of the show just to get into it. I thought it worked really well for Ava, having compared clips back and forth, and I think it'll probably work pretty well here. So, I think that gets everything out of the way. You know what rip I'm using. You know what I've got. You know what we're doing. We're watching Patlabor. I'm not going to promise that we're going to finish Patlabor or that we'll love it to pieces, but we're going to give it a shot. And given that it's super well highly regarded and it's directed by Mamoru Oshii, we're probably going to find some stuff to love here. So let's jump in and see what we love. I've got episode 1 of Patlabor: The Early Days OVA, also known as Patlabor: The Mobile Police, and some other things. It's got a lot of names. It's kind of confusing. But we'll call it the Early Days OVAs because it's a seven episode OVA. You'll know which one it is. You can find it. I've got episode 1 of it up and ready to go. I'm sitting on the Japanese audio track and the OCZ Signs and Songs subtitle track, and it's sitting at 0 seconds. There will be 2 versions of this reaction. You can find a picture version, blah. No, a picture version, right? With the video up there, linked in the description, and a timer-based version up on YouTube. If you would like to sync up your own copy of Patlabor with the timer-based version, you're welcome to do so. Just get your copy ready, because the beep beep timer to count you down to 0 will be coming at you now. Okay, I'm stupid. I had it on English song signs, not on English subs. I'm dumb. I thought that it was English subs and signs. I don't know why I would think that. Anyway, beep beep timer. Okay, let's hope that we didn't screw up this time. I mean, that I didn't screw up this time. All right, we did it. Fuck yeah. Hyper technology and a labor. Or labor. Use giant robots to cause problems? Yeah, that makes sense. Alright, level the playing field. Patlabor. There we go. Patlabor. Alright, I'm just gonna write that down phonetically. Yeah, this definitely came out in the same couple years as Gunbuster. It's like a love song to her mecha. That's really cool. Alright. I really liked the facial animation that we've seen so far in the OP. Obviously, the OP gets more effort put into it, but if we have that kind of expressiveness throughout, that's gonna be really interesting. There's like careful detail to how the cheeks move when we're at like a semi-profile and expressions are happening, right? Like this line doesn't stay static, and in a lot of shows you'll just see the mouth move. That's really interesting. Okay. All right, semi-transparent flag. All right, hello, stern operations officer person of sorts. So everybody's just kind of waiting on him, it seems. Or waiting on something. Oh boy. So they're rolling out a new model. What about it? Lots of red tape. Yeah, why are you out in the middle of nowhere? Okay, so the Patlabor initiative was made, but they never gave them the funds. Cool. Okay. Ah. And that's exactly what we need right now. Hello, bus. Is it one of our main characters? It may be all of our main characters. Oh shit. No, I'm not seeing girl. I'm not seeing girl. I don't see girl or mech girl. He just said cops and army both have guns. I don't believe Japanese police carry guns. I think they have special squads that do and can. It's interesting. Hmm. Is it girl? It's probably girl. I ain't no civilian. I ain't a child either. All right. Met girl in a Letterman's jacket. Cool. Ah, and she switched into uniform. This is fitting. We don't know this guy's name yet. Sweet. Time for bonding. What? How long is that telephone cord? Ah, traffic. Bombings? Question mark. That seemed like a plot point drop. Talking. It seems like Oshi likes holding static shots and then having things occur within them. It's interesting. Is that the lady who is giving the guy some guff? That's probably the guy who I don't know the name of yet. And if his name is Goto, that makes him the MC, I think. He made it himself, didn't he? Yep. Totes. All right, so we've got the big behemoth of a man who's actually a gentle giant and pretty fucking sweet. I love him. Hmm. These seem like trustworthy folks. Oh no, there are dudes. Why did they change into black suits for that one frame? Koto seems like an interesting one. What, do you just want to fire a gun? A month after strict review. Jesus. But how are you going to do the job with one shot if you have no practice shooting guns? But again, it's red tape. Hello, labor. This is a smart choice to show it in darkness. Oh, is that girl? I think that's girl. Nope, that's orange hair girl. I just couldn't tell because of darkness. Jesus. Echoes of the Huh. It's a fighter. Okay, to be intimidating and also like a symbol of justice. Hmm. Oh, he's clipping off his lines. Oh, that's great. Hmm. Oh, he knows about them because he's a child of the family. Yeah. Ah. Hmm. Whoa. Oof. She loves mechs. Oh, never mind. Huh? Pato-chan. Okay. That was the cutest laugh. Hmm. Hmm. That is gorgeous. All right, they're arriving. The new units are here. That doesn't look like the units we saw, though. He's still sitting out here waiting. That's awesome. Subs? All right, I'm gonna fix this. Thinking to fix it. Hey, tea and nuts is pretty good. I like tea. All right, are we on duty? An unidentified weapon. What if it's one of the new ones? Nah, it wouldn't be running from the cops then. Okay. Right. Severe limitations. Oh. Alright, I see what we're doing here, and I like it. This is brilliant. Oh, this track. Do it. Alright, this is our reveal, and we're doing everything we can to hold off from actually seeing them. God damn it. Oh, they are. They look like the new ones. Oh, we've already arrived at the place, and I'm stupid. They are the new ones. Okay, good. Good, good, good. Inspiring an impression. Whoop, 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 whoop. I think he jumped. Cool. Okay. Uh-huh. Yeah, he jumped. Shot. Smart. Let's keep Alphonse up and running. Oh, that's the unit we're chasing, I guess. Well, this is a zippy chase. Those people died. Those people died. Oh, shit. Alright, what is your deal, Goto? You seem competent enough, but zero effort. Alright. Now we're staring at... It's really interesting how unflappable he seems. Oh! Oh! We got guns! I have a feeling it will. Oh. What's going on with his eyebrows, that whole scene? Is it flickering? Whoa. It's the robot's head. Oh my god. I mean, you can make a joke of that, but that's a multi-car pileup during a high-speed chase. Those people died. But you're our only hope. Except for the person that Goto called. We don't know who that was. This track, though. Wow, Out of the Shadows. Awesome. Hey, she got it. Eyes closed. Wow, that cut. That's bad. Alright, alright, alright. Good looking out. Guns on the floor. And it's got one of its wheels busted, so it's slowed. Alphonse? Yeah. You sure did. Wow. Oh. I have a feeling you're about to get caught. Yeah. Damn, those are scary looking. Talk about built to create impression. You're gonna try fighting back? You're gonna shoot the building? It's a museum. Oh boy. Goto's just unfazed. Oh, she mad. She's gonna beat him down with her own arm. Ah. Ah. I see. I see you joke. Of course. Oh. That was so good. So that's who he called. No response. Never mind. Savage. What? Is there a little bit of chemistry between the two of them? There might be. There might be. Wow. All right, this was really good. Looks like there's something little something here at the end. Just blink. Yeah, okay, it just ends. Cool. Hold on. My best girl senses are tingling. My best girl senses are definitely tingling. She's the only character that I recognize that has like Tsurime eyes, which is something that I've been reading about or read about recently. Tsurime and Tarime eyes, which are two different like overall eye shapes that can be really useful for indicating what characters' general personalities are supposed to be. Let's find any image of Noah. So the men have different eye shapes and eye designs. Almost every character does. And then Goto's are probably the most unique because he has like half-lidded eyes that give off the impression of like dead fish eyes, and I think it's intentional. So that's interesting. Hold on one sec. But I want any image of girl. Yeah, so he's got the dead fish eyes, but any image of girl, she's got the Tarime eyes because they curve down at the corners, and you'll see this in like in moe characters all over the place. It's strongly indicative of a moe aesthetic, and it's on the female characters for the most part, minus the girl who got introduced in this little stinger here. She's got those corner-pointed, upward leaning Tsurime eyes. That means something. That means something when no other character does. Best girl senses tingling. All right. Anyway, that's really neither here nor there for the episode of Patlabor. Or I wrote down phonetically. Patlabor. All right, great. Well, maybe we'll go with Patty. She seems to like that, so maybe we will. There were some things that were interesting, little bits and bobs that I picked up on, but we'll get to those a little bit later. I think I want to talk in broad strokes first. All right, so we're dealing with the first episode of a mecha-focused anime where the mecha itself is like a core element of this world. And we have to introduce it to the audience. How are we going to do that? And how are we going to make it mean something to the audience? A lot of shows like this, like, don't care about doing that. They just introduce the mechas as a plot point. Example being Gunbuster, because it comes from the same time frame. when we arrive on scene, the units exist and they're piloting them, and like our conflict for the first episode is basically Noriko fucking sucks at being a pilot. She's terrible at it. But she's already there, and they've already got the units that they're going to be using. Eventually, much later down the line, we find out about a more powerful unit, the eponymous Gunbuster, and stuff happens. But we start off with, like, okay, there are mechs in this show. We do sort of the same thing here. We know there are mechs in this show, but what we never get to see, except for the tease built into the OP, which actually shows some elements of it, we never really get to see the actual mech itself. Not for a good long time. Instead, we open on everybody sitting around waiting for the fated day when it arrives. There's a sense of anticipation and waiting on bated breath here. Because the characters are doing it, we're doing it too. But the thing that really, really solidifies this as a brilliant writing choice is what we end up doing. We're not able to get our mechs in time. We can't. There's traffic. There's a conflict. So suddenly, the mechs are not a means to an end. They're an end in and of themselves. They're one of our goals. We have to actually go on a heist in order to obtain the tool that we're going to be using for the rest of the series. That means that we have an attachment to it innately because we had to work to get it. And that means in the moment when it's actually revealed to us and we actually see what it's doing and what it might be capable of, we're kind of rooting for that moment because we've been building up to it for this entire 30-minute episode. That's fucking brilliant. If you want your characters, or if you want your audience to care about some element of your world, make your characters in the world have to work to obtain it. Boom. Brilliant. Brilliant. Simple, but brilliant. That's pretty fucking cool. So the mech isn't a tool, although it is. It's a prize. Narratively. Like, this moment in the episode where the mechs actually rise up. Yeah, where he actually unleashes them. And we get everything except a full frontal shot of these mechs themselves until the moment we do. We get the order being taken in, them getting prepped inside, saying some gibberish, and then it goes. And they start to rise, and we cut away. In the moment before we might have seen something interesting, we cut away to random hydraulics. And then we don't cut back, we cut to the audience's reaction to it, to the people watching, so that we can actually buff up our own expectations even further. And then, do we cut back to it? No, we cut to the point of view of the person inside it so we can see what their viewfinder looks like. But we don't get to see it yet. But we know where it is in its track. It's about there. It's almost there. And then we do a match fade between her and the face of her unit. And finally it is revealed to us. And it's fucking cool. And then it's kind of like not that cool anymore. It's like whatever. But then they start to move and it gets real cool. We do the low angle shots, the bits of retreating like restraining bolts and whatever, the actual movement of the thing. And then we undercut all of that with a bit of a joke. It's still a dude in there. Whoops, sorry. Sorry about your cars. Sorry. Just don't mind me. Okay, that's really interesting. So I stopped to frame by frame this cut because the way the mech like turns and moves is like it's too smooth. It's too perfect. And there are a couple of instances of this in the animation of the episode. And we'll get to a couple of them. I think I wrote them down. It's just real smooth as it moves. But it's still entirely animated on twos. There's nothing crazy going on except the lights. The lights on its shoulders are individually changed, frame by frame. And on the next set of flashes, it becomes even more apparent. somehow the way the color changes almost acts to like buffer the way that I'm observing the unit moving. It's interesting. It makes it look smoother than it is. But anyway, that's the prize. Get to the mech, obtain the thing, and then use it. I think that's awesome. I think that's brilliant for our first episode. All right. Other things. Script writing wise, the way that exposition is written into the script, I think is excellent. We get what is, I think, a pretty necessary narration here over the very beginning, telling us that lots of technology happened. We called it hyper-technology. Sure. And so we made giant mechs because, of course, we did. It's Japan. What the fuck else are we going to do with our super tech? I mean, lots of things, but it's neither here nor there. So we get that piece of narration. And then in order to ensure that you're not too bored by the 30 seconds of important or I guess it's 45, 50 seconds of important exposition, boom, action scene, hit me with it, and then into the OP we go. And the OP is really nice. It's super cute. So I said it immediately when the OP started. I was like, well, shit, this is definitely from the era of Gunbuster. It doesn't have the same kind of a vibe in terms of the retro audio aesthetic, but it does have a lot of the same elements. And it reminds me a lot of the cultural Catgirl Nuku Nuku OP, because it's so bouncy and upbeat, and it's essentially a love story by a girl to a robot, kind of. But we start off with one of our characters like jogging and jogging to the beat and stuff and doing things, and it's pretty cool. They do definitely make the robot itself look awesome throughout this OP. It looks really cool. But the thing that stands out about the OP itself, most of all, is probably the facial animations on her and on the other girl. Like, there is a ton going on with the eyes and mouth and stuff. And like great care being put into ensuring goodness. I don't know. Very interesting. Okay. Some really cool stuff in the OP. Alright, and then there's this cut around, which is gorgeous. Look at that thick black line on the left side of her cheek. Ugh. Ugh, it's gorgeous. Do I know why certain types of like real thick tapered black lines in anime just make my day? I do not know why, but hot damn they do. Look at all those lines in her hair. Oh, it's so pretty. It's so pretty. It's actually an amazing cut. All right, and then we enter the episode proper. Okay. Holding static shots, and holding static shots with moving background scenery, especially clouds. It's everywhere. It's everywhere in the episode. Stalwart and stoic. And in this shot, we're like moving this way, but we're very clearly demonstrating that like all these characters are sitting around, standing around, sort of lazing around, you might say, kind of in general, whatever, generally at ease. But our angle, our viewpoint as we move around is entirely centered around the commander. All of their attention is upon him, which is what made me think that we were awaiting some kind of like declaration from him of some kind, like today is the day, or I don't know, whatever. Makes me think that they were waiting for that, but no, he's waiting for something, and they're all waiting because he's waiting. Okay, and then enter this character. I don't know what his deal is, but I like him.
Chief!
Oh, Jesus, we switched back to English. No! That removes all of the nuance about that.
Hunter!
Yeah, there we go. Chief! No. Hunter! It's like he's freaking out like it's the most important thing he's ever heard in his entire life. He just has to tell him right now. It's kind of great. The whole way he goes on and on. Like, okay, so he enters frame and the camera shifts to accommodate him because we were centered in the original shot, correct? No, we were not. We were shifted over this side. So the camera shifts over quite a ways to accommodate him. He enters frame, so he has entered the headspace of the commanding officer at this point, starts spewing his shit. I need to switch the subs again. God damn it. All right. They're on the way. Good. They're finally coming. They're finally coming. And he just goes off. And the cool thing about this is that what we're doing here is we're expositing to the audience, right? What's the current tactical situation at this unit? What's the deal? Well, they created this labor unit. We found that out in the narration in the very beginning. But how's it going? Well, they're kind of hamstrung by red tape, and they haven't been given the budget they actually need. All of their current robots are just repurposed other robots for like construction work and shit. They don't have any police-specific robots. They're kind of an understaffed, or at least under-equipped force. And we find all of that out through this guy's incensed dialogue. He's like passionate about this, and so we get sucked up along in the passion of it, even though what we're getting is pretty much dry information. It's just info that we need, but it's couched in this character's point of view, and so we can accept it that way, and it doesn't feel weird to us because he's railing against things that he has no control over. He's like, gosh, this system. But today, everything changes. A real labor unit. A proud unit. Shige. Shut the fuck up. I want those machines. I want them. I want them. Awesome. Framing, yo. Clouds blowing by. Perfect composition on the back of his head, which enables perfect composition on the bus pulling up and entering frame. Static shots where things enter frame and change the circumstances seem to be peppered everywhere, and they're kind of unique. They're not something that I see that often. At least not often enough or frequently enough within the same show to make a note of it. But it was one of the first things that I noticed. These static shots of characters doing almost nothing, and then something enters to change their state of being. Like the commander standing there, static, unchanging, unflinching, stoic, until, I guess Shige is his name, runs up and actually enters his frame. It's not when he starts to yell out that the commander actually begins to pay attention to him or respond to him. It's once he comes up next to him and actually starts to converse. That's cool. All right, so we get the drive away reveal. 4 dudes. I don't know what he's talking about, but sure. Cops in the army both have ranks and guns. I'm actually curious about that. I might end up cutting here because I'm intrigued by gun control in Japan. I'm just not as up on it as I might want to be. So, give me a sec. Okay, so after some hunting, I was able to determine that indeed Japanese police do still carry guns. Each police officer is issued a standard issue firearm, and the guns that they have are the Nambu New 60s. or something like that, which are based on the Smith & Wesson SM-36s, and so are called the Smith & Wesson SM-37s for reasons, which are a relatively outdated 5-shot revolver, and there seems to be no real need to really change that since nobody else has guns, or many guns, or stuff. The licensing procedures are nuts. But I just read up on it, and okay, confirmed. Cops in the Army both have ranks and guns. What's the difference? He is absolutely right, and I was wrong, and today I learned something about Japanese stuff. That's pretty cool. Okay. And at this point, we finally meet our commander. And our first introduction to him is right next to this woman, who's got a bit of a grudge against him because he's getting the new units. Interdasting. But they have a working relationship of sorts. An interesting one. Not sure where we'll go with that. I did get kind of a sense of chemistry in their very last scene together. I don't know why, but I did get kind of a sense of chemistry, which is odd given his dead fish eyes and generally unflappable, weird-ass aesthetic. That is a dramatic shot. The light and dark. We use almost... To elaborate, we use almost the exact same type of shot in the eye catch where we see the robot. There are a couple of eye catches, except that they're flipped so that the white is on top, or and then that way the shadow of the robot becomes really distinct and really neat. But it's another way of playing with space in the frame, and I think it's pretty neat. All right, so he doesn't really take any guff. 5, and she's the newbie. What's up? Immediately likable. She's really cute. We introduce all the characters. Power crew. That fits. Definitely fits. Alright, so then we kind of play off of our previous scene to make a gag out of it with Shige running out with an obscenely long telephone cable, which is just kind of ridiculous. And we enter back into this familiar framing. And she just manning his post. Alright, this gets nice and goofy. And again, we're holding this static shot for a good long time to hear his side of the conversation. A good long time. And he acts within the frame, but that's it. Alright. Time is passing, time is passing, time is passing. Been waiting out there since this morning. Eating out there. Everything. Alright, so we again exposit, in this case, in the form of a bit of playful banter and maybe a little bit of shade being thrown. We tell our new recruits that their commanding officer is pretty low down on the totem pole, and will probably be getting shit for it a lot of the time. But he seems relatively competent and focused. It's just that his attitude is strange. I like this gag. It's not an infrequent gag. It's a pretty common one. But, having big, intimidating dude bro who's actually a softie at heart and does, just enjoys embroidery or something, or making frou-frou bentos. It's nice. It gives the character a layer of, oh, they're not just the big, break skulls, intimidate people type. He's a person. And that's cool. Even if it's used often enough that it's maybe a little bit generic. Okay. Man, this shot really threw me off, just because the lighting in the scene makes these two characters look super dark, and it makes them not look like themselves, and I did not recognize them at first, but they are the two characters that were here, and we frame them this way, which I think is really interesting, because it's similar to the way that we framed him and Shige, except that their faces aren't in frame. He's in his own mindset, and they are not allowed to intrude visually into his mental framework. It's kind of cool. It's kind of neat. Okay, and then on a similar note, Goto never looks up from his newspaper really to address them. He's they're able to enter his space, and he's able to communicate with them about the actual the fact that there's no way he's gonna let them have guns. There's a huge review situation thing and whatever. But he's doing all that while continuing to pay complete attention to his newspaper, which seems to be on, I think it was the sports section. Absolutely not a care in the world. I think that's great. It's pretty cool. All right, and then we enter here. Man, light and shadow, light and shadow. And in the I think it's the very next scene from this one, or the very next cut from this one, we get some echoes of Kawajiri. Because one of the things that in the same way that I picked up on the static frames with things entering them and changing the situation, one of the things that I picked up from Cyber City 808 was the frequent framing of characters against the floor, with like objects of light and shadow creating the composition. And we get that immediately here. It's not the immediate next frame, it's this one. There it is. Yeah, so light and shadow. That's pretty cool. I like it. I like it a lot. The new one will be a whole different beast. And we discover... Okay, yeah, I forgot. I really like his voice acting. I really like his voice acting. I actually would like to know who that is, so that I can keep an eye out for him. I'll probably cut here. Asuma. Toshio Furukawa? Oh my god. No way. He's just a little bit more belligerent and he's doing a slightly higher voice, but that is Leon McNichol from Bubblegum Crisis. Oh, that's great. Who else are you? You are Piccolo in like every incarnation of Piccolo. Cool, cool, cool. Some people in Gundam, some people in Saint Seiya, somebody in Urusei Yatsura, no surprise. That's it. Okay, cool. Well, hey, that was actually worth looking up. I didn't think it would be. That's Leon. Alright. So we find out that he's the son of the industry, but has been roped into being here. Got work to do. And then we get this cut. And at this point, my mind just explodes a little bit. What? This is on ones. All of it. Like, it not only captures the side-to-side movement of the main stalks, but also the subtle up and down of the leaves as they blow in the wind, and how they would shift as the plant moves side to side. What the ever-loving fuck? This is an establishing shot. Excuse me? This is an establishing shot. This isn't an action shot. This isn't a character moment. This is an establishing shot. And there's a cut of plants blowing in the wind. Starts at 13:23, ends at 13:30. It's a 7-second cut. I'm doing mental math. Hold on. $168 frames, which are, as far as I can tell, I don't think any of the plants are copied. At least in the front row. They're all different arrangements of leaves, I think. And they are all animated on ones, as are all the background plants, which don't move as intricately, but still. What? That is awesome. I have no idea why it's there, but it's really cool. And so I'm not complaining. Not even a little bit. Alphonse, my Patty's name. I've been working on it since I decided to join up. So she's got a little bit of a different outlook toward these mechas. She's got a desire for a personal connection with them. She's named hers before she's ever even sat in it. That's kind of neat. And she calls the Patlabors Patties. She's kind of got this, like, childish, maybe naive, maybe Pollyanna-esque outlook that's really sweet and endearing. I don't know whether this is going to lead to a break the cutie moment where we, like, crush her hopes and dreams for narrative purposes, or if it's just going to maybe temper a little bit as she finds out how life in the police force is, or it'll go the other way and she'll be the spark of light in everybody else's life. I don't really know. Either way, I'm kind of excited to find out, and I really like her so far. And then there's this scene, which is just, like, we're intentionally making this character seem very creepy. I don't know why. Okay, there are the eye catches that I was talking about. Very similar diagonal slash of light and dark, except flipped. And the Patlabor shadow moving out into it. Really crisp and nice looking. I like it a lot. And there are these backgrounds, which are gorgeous. Stuff moving in, which is cool. This is great. He's just still sitting out there. Just unfazed. That's pretty cool. Alright, sitting around, doing nothing. Talking about shit. Try to turn up an idol show, but boom, there's a problem. We gotta go. We gotta move. Our labors are still stuck, so we're gonna go pick them up. That's pretty cool. Also, our subs are a little bit off again. I don't really here. I'll guesstimate where I was in subtitle delay. It was almost 5 seconds off. It's crazy. That should be a little bit better. Yeah, that's a little bit better. Okay. Any questions? Yeah, yep. Tons, millions. All right, we kind of already talked through this sequence. You know what I think of it. I think it's really well done. It's continuously amplifying the tension and preventing us from seeing what we want to see, withholding something so that it builds up for us, and man, it works. It's nice. Okay. The dialogue is so snappy and witty. It's so great. And Goto is so interesting. I don't know. I can't put a beat on his character, and that's what's interesting about it. I'm not sure about him. He's a weird one. All right. And then there's the thing itself, which looks pretty freaking awesome and is fantastically animated every time it's on screen. There's one cut where we shift around it that looks amazing, and I don't remember where it is. Also, this looks really good. Oh yeah, and then those people die. All right, yeah, that thing is tumbling directly toward them. Oh, yep. Those people died. That's cool. Okay, I wrote down another cut. I don't know where it was. Up 22:30. Bingo. Just chilling. Just being Goto. And then stares wistfully off into the sakura petals. And thinks about... I don't know. A poem? Is this one of the Hyaku whatever? March, the month of spring. Strangled and left behind. The dead... No, it's not, because it's in the wrong form. The dead dances in the flowers. Yeah, no, nothing comes up. Maybe because it's not a frequently English translated thing. I assume it's a reference to something, and he's not just off the cuff spitting bars. But I might be assuming incorrectly. Shigoto. Time to work. Time to go. All right, take me to 22 minutes and 30 seconds. That's where I want to be. 22 minutes. All right, yeah. His eyebrows go nuts. It's great. We're almost there. I think it's this cut. Yeah. All right. Those of you who follow a lot of OVAdrives, you remember that one cut in Bubblegum Crisis that I kind of geeked out about? It's where one of the units is like jumping and falling, and we do this 3D pan around them, and it's just fantastic. This seems really similar. I mean, really similar in its execution. Oh man, and the full white, full black for impact frames is kind of cool. All right, around the gun, and then we should pivot. No, we get real close to the face there. Okay, and then we smack them. Wow. I wonder if it's the same animator. Wait, wouldn't that be what's his face? His name has just escaped my brain space. Shit. Bubblegum Crisis. Obari. I remembered it. I remembered it as I was typing Bubblegum Crisis in. But no, these weren't the types of cuts that we recognize him for. It could be him. Who knows? Who knows? There's a lot of key animation in this episode, like a lot. Oh yeah, there's this moment where it spins. That's so smooth. Actually, some of that was on ones. Hank. I guess not. I was wrong. Okay. Mecha debris. We end up with our stand. And she makes a rocket punch reference, which is great because she's holding her own arm. Or her robot's own arm. And they are fucked. Fucked and surrounded. Ah. And it all ends with a little bit of a joke. He's been waiting this whole time for these beautiful new machines, and he doesn't even get to play with them. He has to fix them. God. This little pun about the arms gap was really nice. I really like it. I don't know whether it's a direct translation from the Nihongo, but I'm gonna assume that it works in Nihongo as well. Also, VLC has just broken, I think, for no reason. Thanks, VLC. Please don't do that. I have to add subs again. And I have to switch the audio again. Okay, cool. But our real final end is this moment between Goto and this lady person. It would have been much better if I'd had the new labors. Oh, so you want them? And the way he asked this kind of implies that, like, and the way he's been acting throughout the episode kind of implies that he might be leading up to, you want them? All right, take them off my hands. I don't care. They just mean more responsibility for me. He seems kind of like that kind of a character. Oh, but he's not. Oh, not at all. He's messing with her. The dead fish eyes. And he just says, you can't have them. Subtitles are a little bit off because of the timing thing. And we just sort of pull out and they stare at each other. Huh. And night falls. That was so good. That was so good. I'm really excited to meet her. We'll see what happens next episode. Well, we're definitely going to be watching more Patlabor for a little while. Yeah. Okay, anything else that I wrote down that I haven't talked about? Kasanari both have guns. Holding static shots. Goto. Bombings. We got a little side note mention of some bombings occurring. It was by the people who were driving on the freeway. And that was the cause of the traffic. And we got the indication of, like, terrorist activity was the initial intent of the people that we captured in this episode. There's not really a lot to go off of there. I thought at first when we mentioned the bombings that might become a plot thread just because it seemed like a little drop of an important thing. But now I'm not so convinced. Okay, cool. Well, overall thoughts on Patlabor. It's really fucking good. The script is what I would call crisp. It's efficient and concise without feeling like it's being too efficient or rushed or concise. You know? It doesn't... there's enough here that's just there for fun that it all works. The way that exposition is integrated into characters' dialogue is really clever and really effective, and I think that's... I mean, it's pretty clear that that's got to be Kazunori Ito at work, and it works. Script is really solid. The way this episode is structured and written is really stellar for an introduction, I think. I think it's really good. I think the heist to acquire the labors and the fact that we don't get them to start and we have to go and obtain them as though, like, they're valuable is awesome, and it works. Overall production of the episode, I think, is pretty excellent. There are some absolutely stellar cuts in here. The cut as we turn around the thing, the cut as the other thing does the spin, and the strangest one of all, the plants. I don't know why there is so much emphasis on that one plant cut, but it is dope. It is so good. Oshii has some directorial preferences, but the things that stand out are an extraordinary eye for composition that's just pervasive, just through every scene, every scene, every shot, every scene, every shot, and a fondness for static shots that enable him to tell a story without cutting away. I would say is what they do. It's almost like writing in a comic is the way I'm thinking of it. Character is in frame, nothing's happening. Other characters enters frame, something occurs because other character has entered frame. Suddenly we've got something going on. Resolve whatever occurred. On to the next strip. It's interesting. It's a way of thinking about, like, framing and its function over time. It's cool. It's cool. Yeah, the sense of composition is so clear and so good. Where's that one shot of the CO from behind staring out at... Yeah, okay. It's when the bus arrives. It's when the shuttle arrives. Yeah, okay. There. The line of what I assume is a highway that goes across that meets almost perfectly with where his I guess you could say his traps meet his collar. Oh my god, I didn't even notice it. Oh, you fucking you fucking genius. You fucking genius. You see these little tracks in the grass right here? You don't really consciously notice them when you see this scene, but your brain does. Your brain picks up on them. And so when we frame this line brings your attention to here, but he takes up most of the frame, so it doesn't matter that your attention is brought to here. But the other place that your attention is pulled to, just by the framing and composition, for a number of reasons, like a ridiculous number of reasons, is, okay, if we break the shot down into thirds, right? This is just common composition-y stuff. If you break the shot down into thirds, our boy is centered on a third, and the top, the center of his head, like where his eyeline would be, is centered on a horizontal third. Okay? Holy fuck. Okay. But then, if we look at the opposing third, and this is another thing about composition, you don't just throw things onto PowerPoints willy-nilly. PowerPoints being the places where thirds intersect, right? So there's one here, there's one here, there's one here-ish, and one here-ish. And those are the main PowerPoints where your thirds intersect. Okay? So what is in the location of these 4 PowerPoints in this frame? Well, there's the thing that we've been looking at from the front for every time we've seen this commanding officer on screen, essentially, which is his eye line, where his eyes will actually be. And that's positioned right here at this third. In the other 2 adjacent thirds to that one, we have nothing and nothing, right? So they're balanced. There's not really anything here, it's just his blank white shirt, and there's not really much here, it's just the clouds blowing by. Nothing of interest. But it's on this diagonal, on these 2 opposing thirds, where the interesting stuff occurs. On this third, almost precisely, is his eyeline. Where is his attention focused? Directly on the other third, right directly opposite of it. And what do we find when we look at this other third? Well, it just so happens that there are 2 intersecting lines that go to the outside of the frame. You know, the kind of thing that somebody, if they had a magical eye for composition, might put there to intentionally draw the viewer's eye to this particular point. But why? Well, think about the rest of the composition. Where's the major looking? He's looking at this particular point. Where should we be looking? We should be looking at this particular point. What's going to happen here? We don't know yet. But everything points to it, so something must. Enter bus. Where does the bus stop? Oh, look at that. And suddenly it's the focus of everyone's attention. My mind is actually blown by that. I wanted to look at this frame again just because I thought it was interesting that like the way that this line carries your gaze and the way it sort of bisects the frame straight down the middle horizontally. But I was missing a lot. I was missing a lot here. There's a lot. Whoa. I'll bet there are probably 24 other frames that have similar intricacies to them that I would just never notice. unless I stared at them. All right, I am officially impressed by just about everything in this episode. The voice acting was really good. The direction is extraordinary. The shot composition is great. The background art is really lovely. The moving cloud backgrounds bring a sense of life to the environment that is kind of rare to see, and it's really nice. The points where we actually do invest into really putting together the Sakuga come together extraordinarily well. The fighting that we see within the OP, or at the very beginning of it, looks gorgeous, and I'm excited to see some more of that. Characters seem neat. We'll have to figure out more about them, of course, and what their whole deal will be. Dialogue is snappy. Exposition is done super fluidly and subtly. Character designs are pretty attractive. They also leave a lot of room for really expressive facial animation. I'm thoroughly impressed. Okay. Well, me Teeaboo, this Patlabor, episode 1. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have, because I really liked this. And I'm definitely going to watch episode 2. I think this is going to keep us occupied for its 7-week run and then maybe a couple of movies. I just have a feeling. So, if you're a big Patlabor fan, strap in for the ride, because I'm here for it. Okay, I will see you next week for more. Peace.